so yeah, we'll just see where it goes. We'll just
Okay.
start going. So, are we going? We good? All right, I'm gonna clap. There's the clap. That means we're rolling. That light's red. I clap. It's on. Is this the piece?
Yes.
Can I look at it real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. That's Kevin.
All right. Hey, Kevin. Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast. This is Kevin coming in. This is Brady, and we're about to look at the best of show. Can you zoom in on that at all? Holy crap, dude. That is beautiful. Man, congratulations on sitting for that.
He does a lot of squats. That's why his thighs are so big.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I see it.
Hit a good leg
Yeah,
day
man.
before I came.
Yeah, he did.
That is, man. Beautiful. Beautiful. Are you getting good shots of that? There you go. That's a good introduction. That's a good introduction to the show, right? Man, so good. Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you.
Safe travel.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, man. So, if you saw that tattoo, then you know what he does. He just won Best of Show with that tattoo of the day and Best of Show.
Yep.
But it was a 3-day tattoo.
Yeah.
Can you win Tattoo of the Day if it's a 3-day tattoo? Is that fair?
You can, as long as it's entered on the day that you finish.
Oh, okay.
So-
Okay. Yeah. Well, it deserved it.
Definitely made sure that, like, with all the rules and everything, that's like, hey, I've got a 3-day piece coming up. Is there any way I'm going to be able to enter this? And that's what they told me.
Yeah,
As long as you
well,
enter it
good.
on the day that you're finished, or
Yeah.
you get finished in time, then yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah. So let's talk, just because that's incredible, and obviously a ton of preparation went into that. And before we hit the record button, you were telling me a little bit about it. Talk about the process. Let's just start with that piece
Okay.
in particular. So this is obviously a very kind of illustrative realism style, which I'm
Yep.
assuming, as nice as that is, that's what you do most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had an idea for this piece, and I wanted to put I just wanted to do something that was a lot more thought-provoking, a lot more like just not just a skull and roses or a pretty girl and a skull, or blend of images like that. I wanted to do something that actually conveyed some sort of meaning to it, and I had that idea. The piece is the Divine Architect, and I did my research and found the right-looking person that came along, and I was like, yeah, dude, you look really cool. So you'd be perfect for this piece. Can I do a photo shoot with you? And, you're going to be a tattoo eventually. So
Right.
he was cool with it. So
Huh.
he's a pretty cool guy himself. He does custom cars and BMX riding.
Yeah.
He's like in his mid-40s and still killing BMX. And
Huh.
fuck, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So he has an epic-ass beard, and I can't grow a beard, so it was perfect.
Yeah, sweet. So you photographed him. Are you doing most of your drawing digitally, or?
Photos I'm taking, and I'm warping them a bit digitally, and then all of my photo reference that I use, it's pretty much I kind of take the concept after I put everything together and get kind of a general idea of what I want it to look like, and then I'll decide from there whether I want to do either neo-traditional or photorealism or surrealism, whatever. It just kind of depends on the mood, I guess.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
This type of piece, though, is definitely more meant for surrealism.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and it's executed like realism. A lot of what makes it kind of surreal is the color palette and
Yeah.
like kind of the the dynamic of the combination of the
Right.
shapes and stuff like that. Are you working? I'm assuming you are. But are you working these things out to complete finish beforehand and just copying onto the skin, or do you leave a lot of room? Are you more kind of do you like to meander and play around on the skin?
I like to play around.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever you find yourself in a certain groove, you don't want to take yourself out of it, because I just feel like whenever I'm in that mode, I'm onto something, and I don't want to be locked down too much into just strictly duplicating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get my reference close, but that's it. Like the main subject shapes, like that's cool, but everything else I just kind of wing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're planning, so you designed that. Let's go back to this guy. Was the Divine Architect his idea? Is it something you put together and just threw out there for someone to get?
It was mine. It was all my
yours?
idea.
Okay.
Yes, and he was a customer of mine already. I've done his left sleeve, and I was telling him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll get it. I'll do it."
Yeah.
I was like, "Really? You'll fly to Oregon to get it?" I was like,
Yeah.
"All right."
And he flew from where?
from Kansas City.
Oh,
He's
wow.
one of my regular customers
Oh,
back
okay.
home. So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
I was way more stoked to offer that to somebody who's already like come to me as someone
Yeah.
who trusts me enough to pay me to do my work.
Right. Yeah.
So I was absolutely, I'll tattoo all day. You
yeah.
know, that's
man. Isn't that amazing? What like clients are willing to do these days?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. That,
He sat 3 days for that. I could not believe it.
yeah.
I can't sit 3 hours.
Right.
I hate
right.
it.
So, what is your approach when you know this is a 3-day sitting? I assume you're. I mean, you can only play around and meander so much. You really have to kind of plan what you're going to finish today because you know tomorrow you've got to get back into this thing. Do you come in with a game plan of like I want to get A to B done today and then C to D done tomorrow? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so, are you? And I guess in that case, you really have to rely a lot on your reference because, like, as a more kind of a painter myself, I work a lot general to specific, and I need to know, like, before I finish, like, the light on the hand, I kind of need to know where the forehead is or where the whatever is, and I'm always making corrections as a whole.
Yeah.
And with that approach, you can't do that at all.
Right. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of with this particular piece anyway, I had all my lighting right beforehand, so I knew that as long as I could I wanted to work from bottom to top, which was the most painful to the least painful. Because
Yeah.
when you're doing tattoos, like, you really got to keep that in consideration. Like, you can't just outline the whole thing and spend 3 days doing, bouncing back and forth, because that really hurts.
Yeah.
It really builds up, like, some serious amounts of pain.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was going to have to do it start to finish as I moved up the leg.
Yeah.
So I had to really trust where my lighting was and everything,
Right.
which is why I tried to get it as close as finished as I could
Yeah.
with the reference. And then all the abstract or like the galaxy type stuff that I was doing in it and the loose organic shapes, all my
Yeah.
lighting was perfect and where I wanted it.
Yeah.
Everything else was kind of superfluous. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're even as fully rendered as probably that was before you started the tattoo, and you, when it comes down to it, you're just thinking about basic shapes and light source, right?
Correct.
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah. So there's still a lot of room to kind of play around, even though it's a very precise drawing, because that hand is beautiful and it comes out and it's blue and then all the warm, you kind of reverse that, put with a cool in the foreground, all the warms in the background,
Right.
which is a real interesting kind of effect. And but when you, as long as you're thinking like, okay, light source is coming from here, and this is just a series of cylinders, and I know how cylinders react to light,
Right.
and so you're able to kind of to focus on that stuff, and the stuff around it can be
Right.
whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At home, are you doing more? That's the first piece I've seen of yours, which is a good start.
Right.
At home, are you doing mostly large scale work?
I do a lot of whole body parts at a time, like whole appendages, like sleeves, leg sleeves, back pieces, stuff like that, which is a blast. It's a totally different mindset working on such a large scale, which I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But I also do a lot of oil painting myself at home
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
it's
Were you a painter before you were a tattooer?
no,
or?
actually, I bought. I knew that I wanted to get into some sort of extracurricular art aside from just tattooing and drawing, But I bought. I knew that I always wanted to get into oil. Something drew me to it, and I bought Nick Baxter's oil painting book.
Realism book. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's a great book.
yeah, it is, really is.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gave me my jump start into it. Now I've developed my own oil system and everything, but watercolor I could never do it. Dries too fast.
Oh,
Acrylic dries too fast. I just
Yeah.
can't do it. But
Yeah.
oil all day. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with you. We had Dan. I don't know if you know Dan Marshall, but he's a great tattooer and a great plein air watercolor artist. And we had him in recently to do like a 3-day watercolor workshop. And you want to talk about just being humbled trying to deal with watercolor. It's so immediate. Every mark is so permanent. It depends on being immediate, and like you have to be able to make quick decisions and make them
Yeah.
work and fix mistakes. Or you can't even fix mistakes. You just have to learn how to accept a mistake and turn it into something. And I've never felt more humbled than trying to work with watercolor.
Right. And it's so hard. It is
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah. So when you're working on large scale stuff, do you tend to finish sections like that, or do you like to work the whole and layer over multiple sittings?
If I know that I've got a limited amount of time, I try and work it in sections. And also does depend on the style. If it's like neo-traditional, I kind of have to outline the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I do try and work in sections, even when I'm at home. Honestly, just because I know that when they're showing off their progress, I want them to be able to put something out there that's presentable.
Right.
So if they were to be like, "Fuck it, I never want another tattoo again," at least what they have looks good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try and keep that in mind as much as possible.
Yeah. Just for a quick kind of technical detour, you had to keep a stencil in place for 3 days. Do you have any tips for like how you kept that, or do you relay it each day?
I relayed it.
Oh wow!
So I actually I took the original stencil and I cut it up. I had everything laid out to where I wanted it, and I cut it up and I laid the first part on and did that, and then the second day I laid the second stencil on. I basically just broke it up into 3 different stencils. So.
Oh, okay. So you didn't stencil the entire thing the first
No.
day? Oh
No.
wow!
No.
Huh. How did you know that first part was where you needed it without seeing what the finish was?
I laid the line drawing from the copy on it,
okay.
and I knew exactly kind
How it was
of
gonna
how
fit.
everything needed to look.
Yeah.
And given this particular piece, it was pretty loose
Yeah.
with a lot of the layout and stuff. So I just knew I needed to get that first piece on to where it looked good where it was.
Yeah.
And then I would focus on the next section and make sure it looked right where it was. And,
Yeah.
Just it also had to look natural to the first piece and everything too. But it was a lot more loose. It wasn't like complete. Like if it was a total like geometric design or something, everything has to line up absolutely flawless. Hats off to those guys for doing that shit.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, this was a little easier, more relaxed for me to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, it's absolutely beautiful. If people want to, are you taking appointments now? Do you stay pushed out a ways? Or
Yeah, I usually stay 4 to 6 months out, but
Okay.
I don't want to do past a year. Like that's too much.
Yeah.
I really don't want to go that far out, but
Yeah. You know, one thing I always notice is like when you start to, I went about 2 years ago. I went from a shop where a front desk was in control of my books to a private studio where I'm in control of my books, and I stopped allowing myself to be booked very far because what I would notice is that like you might book even 4 or 5 months and then that person for 4 months is looking forward to that day, and in the meantime you kind of forget, and then you walk into the lobby when they say your appointment's here and you don't even know their face. You're like,
Yes.
Which one's my appointment?
right.
That's like you want to crawl under a rock.
You
whatever.
do.
Yeah.
You feel so bad, but it's
Yeah.
At the same time, I mean, you gotta be tactful. Be like, hey, it's been a little bit since we spoke.
Right.
Let's refresh
Yeah.
a bit. But
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way, man. I would rather not be pushed that far out. So what is what's the tattoo kind of culture like where you are? Is it a pretty are there a lot of great tattooers? Is there a big base of collectors, or a lot of your clients come from other cities, or what?
I do have more of a Midwestern region client base. I get customers from St. Louis, some from Maine, Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, a lot of surrounding areas, a lot of Kansas City people.
Yeah. And this is Kansas City, Missouri.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Kansas City is shared by 2 states.
Right.
So there is a KC,
Kansas.
and a KC, Missouri.
Right.
So, but the tattoo culture is great there. There are some killer artists that
Yeah.
work in Kansas City. Jesse Hopeless and Noah Moore. Those are both some of my favorites. Mike Durasmo and Ben Alvarez are also absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them get out more, but
Yeah.
I'm actually getting tattooed in a couple months by Jessie Hopeless. She's pretty
Yeah.
amazing herself, and
Yeah.
we have a pretty strong tattoo culture there for sure. But
What about your shop specifically? Is it a big shop, or is
yes, it's not very big, but it's I guess big in stature maybe.
it? Yeah. How many tattooers?
We have 3.
Okay.
Russell James is the owner, and we have Jesse Drake, and then myself.
Okay.
And it's in a really nice area that you wouldn't expect a tattoo shop to be in, which is really cool. Our next door neighbors are Zales Diamonds,
Oh, wow.
which is great.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
amazing.
That is. That is cool.
It took a lot of hard work on Russell's part to really. It took him 15 months to get us into that place.
Oh wow.
So
Wow. And so do you think that has any type of effect on your clientele? Do you tattoo more kind of professionals because of where you are, do you think? Or
I think it says a lot.
Yeah.
If your location, if you're next door to people like that, like Zales or Hellsberg, which is across from Zales from where we're at,
yeah.
it says a lot more about the type of shop you're running than just some back alley place and some hole in the wall.
Right.
You know, that's
Yeah.
where the stigma comes from, and we're all trying to break that stigma.
Right.
Huge, you know, and I feel like we're really making great strides in doing that.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah, it's a different world. I was just Tyler, the last guy that was just on the show. We were just talking about that, and I started tattooing in the mid '90s, 96, and it's just like you look back at it now and you go like, there is literally no one that I tattoo today would have considered getting tattooed in '96. So like it wasn't either tattooing like professionals or other. I either tattoo professionals or other tattooers for the most part. But the clientele that was around in the mid '90s, like I don't know those people. Maybe they're at they must go to different shops. I'm not sure,
Right.
but I don't see them anymore. Well, man. So if people want to track you down or get tattooed, what is the best way to find you?
Instagram is easy, at Brady Payton, or my website's bradypayton.com.
Awesome.
I try and keep it as easy as possible. So if I can remember to tell people, then it's good.
Yeah. Do you have a big travel schedule for the rest of the year, or are you at home mostly?
I'm thinking about doing Oahu, Hawaii in August.
Wow. Do you know Trips Kai? He's from Oahu. He was just a few aisles over here.
I think I just met him. I know Angel Rose,
Okay.
and she introduced me to some guys
Okay.
that were over a couple booths over, and they do Oahu and everything.
Yeah. Trips I met him doing a guest spot at Ink and Dagger in Georgia.
Oh, Russ Abbott.
At Russ Abbott's shop, and he left Russ's shop and moved to Oahu, which I guess is where he was from originally, and opened his own studio there. And he mentioned that he had a guest booth. And I was like, well, I know a guest that would love to try Hawaii.
How do you leave that place?
I don't know,
Oh,
especially to
my
go
God.
to Georgia. I'm not sure how.
Right?
How did he make his way to Georgia?
I've heard that people leave there only just to come back. Like
Yeah.
they have to see what else is out there,
Right.
and then they're like, all right, we're
Yeah.
coming back.
That makes sense. I could see that. You don't know
Absolutely.
don't know what you have otherwise. So, well, man, awesome, dude. That tattoo is mind blowing, stellar.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Check out his work if you want to. What Brady
Payton.
Brady Payton.
Payton.
And if you find yourself in the Kansas City area, man, you should definitely look him up. Thanks again. Thank you guys, as always, for supporting what we do. Thank you, Evergreen. Is this it? Are we wrapping it up for the whole weekend since they're like folding up chairs? Sweet. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.